know what time it is.
Yes.
Welcome back.
Boy Wonder.
Yeah, man, how you doing? You good? I know you
Welcome
like
back to another episode of RSVP Sport. Thanks for sticking with the fraternity. As always, I'm Jonah Francis, and I'm here with my main guy, Ronnie. What's going on, bro?
I'm living, man. I'm living. Saturday night, we got a couple games here on the TVs. Ready to, talk some basketball.
Double D, Dahmer, what's going on, bro?
What's going on, world? Saturday night, feeling good. Wouldn't want to be anywhere else.
Here's what you need to know. In the NBA currently, playoffs is right around the corner, and the top seeds right now in the Western Conference are Golden State and Houston. And there's a lot of implications when it comes to MVP, being that Rockets have finally got to number 2, and Golden State is at the number 1 seeding.
Yeah, they got that locked up. Memphis and Houston fighting number 2 and 3. Then you got Portland, Clippers, San Antonio. Clippers and San Antonio are, fighting for that 5 and 6 seed right there also. And then Dallas and Oklahoma for right now, rounding it out.
And then running over to the Eastern Conference, we got Atlanta, the Cleveland Cavaliers at that 1 and 2 spot. And then we got everybody else in the middle, kind of mixing it up, but staying in the playoffs. Got the playoffs on lock, including Milwaukee. Things may be able to change for them as you have Brooklyn, Miami, and then a couple bottom-feeding teams down there looking to do a little work.
Right. You got Boston, Indiana, being on the lookout for them. But, it's an interesting race turning out in the East also.
So again, playoff implications with James Harden and Steph Curry over in the Western Conference. Ronnie, Paul George is coming back tonight.
Yeah, he's coming back. They're fighting for the playoffs. It's just good for him to get a little bit of a run. It's, what Indiana could pull off. He's probably going to come off the bench.
I think he's just the ultimate competitor, so he wants to just fight with his guys and at least have a shot at the dance. I mean, speaking of ballers, who's our guys for the week, fellas?
Well, who's yours?
I'm not just saying this as a Nets fan, but
Sure.
Right.
not many people are playing better basketball than Brook Lopez as of the last 11 days in the association. Over the last 9 games, we got him averaging 27, 10 boards on almost 61% a game. I think Brook is a baller. He's finally showed up. He's finally got around off that injury. But I'm sure there's guys that are playing better.
Me personally, I got DeMarcus Cousins at the same position out there. Cousins averaging 24 points, 20 rebounds, 13 assists for the second triple-double back-to-back.
The only people to ever have back-to-back games of 20, 20, and 10 are Wilt Chamberlain and Elgin Baylor.
Yeah, that's big right there.
That's big boy company.
Yeah, my he's a baller. I'm going with my rookie, Jordan Clarkson on the Lakers playing point guard. He's been balling. They've been losing. That's cool. But in his last 5 games, averaging 26 and 6. Now, as a rookie, that's some great numbers, shooting over 50% also. So showing the young kids some love.
And MVP updates, as we were talking about before. James Harden had 2 50-point games, followed up by a 40-point game as well. Mm-hmm. And then Steph Curry has just been showing people why he might be the best point guard in the league.
Might be. Yeah. James Harden's really been balling, though. If he could get that second seed, if he could lock that up for Houston, you think that pushes him over the edge for the MVP?
No, not anymore.
Yeah, me either.
I think it's just too much of a gap. But as far as alternatives go, I think a guy that needs to be mentioned is my man, Dirk Nowitzki, first ballot Hall of Famer.
He's a baller.
Cracked 28,000 points for his career. 7th all-time.
All right, so we have our top tiers over there in the West and the Eastern Conference actually locked up. But how about those bottom guys? Who in that bottom tier is going to make it in?
I think both races are pretty interesting, to be honest. I think the Pelicans probably have a bit of a hurdle to cross when it comes to the way Russell Westbrook, Enes Kanter, and the group that Scott Brooks has put together is playing.
Well, Oklahoma doesn't really have it locked up just yet. They're only a half a game ahead of New Orleans.
Right.
And New Orleans got the tiebreaker. That's really a toss-up right there. As far as the East, it's really like between 4 teams at this point: Brooklyn, Miami, Boston, Indiana. You may even throw Charlotte in there.
Now, if we're going by strength of schedule, I do gotta say I look at Brooklyn having a harder schedule. Now, when we go over to the Miami Heat, easier record or easier schedule to end out. And so I think Miami stays in. I do think Brooklyn stays in.
The Celtics and Nets both have the most difficult remaining schedules in the Eastern Conference, actually. So that definitely doesn't fare well with them in that race. But I think I agree with both of you. Brooklyn's, in better position to withstand those blows that are coming at them.
Exactly. So, and then, Ronnie, you were saying strength of schedule out there in the Western Conference with OKC not having it actually tied up because the Pelicans are only a half a game out.
Yeah.
However, when you look at the Pelicans schedule, they got 7 games to close out. And all of those games, except for that one against the Timberwolves that's going to be fighting, all of those games are against playoff teams in the Western Conference.
Well, that's right. That's true. But Golden State has their record locked up. They may rest players. Draymond Green hasn't been playing. Portland is not really as formidable as they once was. Memphis, you don't know what type of Memphis team you're going to get. I say all of this to say is that it could go either way. OKC is a leg up. Their schedule is not that much harder than New Orleans.
But when you look at it, though, Ronnie, the 4-game winning streak that the Pelicans put together were all against teams that are not in the playoffs, right? So tonight is going to be a true test for them when they play the Portland Trailblazers.
Right.
And even if the Golden State Warriors rest people, if they rest people, that's still the best team in the league.
Jalen dropped a tidbit of knowledge. He said that he almost forced himself to waver on his Western Conference pick, and he replaced his Spurs going to the finals with the Warriors based on how incredible they're playing. And he said that it's rare that the best team in the league is also the best roster.
So that means regardless if they rest people or not, they're still going to kick your ass.
Yeah. But let's not just say that hungry New Orleans team doesn't have a chance.
Based on
I'm not saying they're going to win. I didn't say that at all. But I just going
closing out based on strength of schedule. Closing out, OKC is only playing 3 games against teams in the playoffs. Full games, man.
And I will say this about
they're
the Warriors.
Not closing out with simple games. They're playing. OKC is playing Houston, Spurs, Kings with Boogie, who just got 2 triple doubles, so they're a formidable team. Indiana, which is also fighting for a playoff spot. Portland, who's trying to get their rhythm together because they know they're going into the playoffs undermanned. And then the Timberwolves, you don't know what's going to happen last game of the season.
This is what I see. At least for 3 of those 6 games, OKC is supposed to win. At least for 3 of those 6, and that's all they need.
I agree. And the thing about the Warriors...
That's not all they need. New Orleans has a tiebreaker.
New Orleans, yeah, but I don't see New Orleans going 500, or I see New Orleans going 3-4.
Maybe worse.
And I do see Oklahoma actually
we're fighting
going
over
4-2.
We're fighting over a game here. We don't know what's going to happen.
The reason I'm saying that is because of the impact that Russell Westbrook has on the game night in and night out. The impact that he has on Enes Kanter, who has been killing it since the trade, right? He's averaging 17 points, shooting 56% from the floor, 10.8 rebounds a night, including 6 games over 15 rebounds, 5 of which he scored 20 points in. Enes Kanter is balling and is a great beneficiary off of Russell Westbrook. So
OKC is 1-4. OKC is 1-4 in their last 5 matchups.
Again, the Pelicans, what did I tell you? They're beating up on weaker competitions. They were on that 4-game winning streak against weaker competition.
And
so
the one thing I will say about the Warriors is we haven't seen anything to prove to us that they've been resting guys simply for the point of resting them.
They did that once. Steve Kerr tried it. He got some angry emails, and he hasn't done it since. Right. But there's no telling. There's no real reason for them to keep playing all their players right now.
They have guys coming at you from every direction.
But again, just from my initial point was, when you have the best team, regardless of one of your best players sit or 2 of your best players sit, those bench guys are going to propel them.
Well, we just finished talking about some of the top teams, talking about Golden State. Well, let's get into the best point guard in the league. Steph Curry has really caused some memes out there this past week. I don't want to touch a sore subject.
I think Jonah's, fanaticism over my man Chris Paul is
that's a harsh word.
I love Chris Paul, but Jonah's favorite player in the league is probably Chris Paul today, and it's rough for us to bring it up, but Steph Curry's made him look like a fool all over social media.
We know what social media is saying right now. The memes are telling one type of story, but us basketball heads know that it's deeper than that.
A lot deeper.
Right.
And Chris Paul bounced back for 41 and 17
Next
the
game.
very next game. So, I mean, to be honest,
Who do you have as your best point guard in the league today?
Let me know when you guys want me to talk.
listen.
I already know what you're going to say. So, Dalma, who do you have?
Listen, me saying that Chris Paul isn't the best point guard in the league is something foreign to me because things have changed drastically. You've got Russell Westbrook playing maybe the best basketball out of anyone in the league since the All-Star break.
He's not, but continue.
That's just something I had to bring up. And you've got Steph Curry sustaining elite play over 2 to 3 seasons now. Now, head-to-head is a completely different argument because head-to-head, like I've always said, elite players always ball out against each other because that's what they are. They're elite, and they're going to get theirs against anyone. So that really doesn't matter to me as much because I actually know the game, and Chris Paul getting crossed up a couple times here and there really doesn't prove much to me. But Curry, as just a total basketball player, is a better point guard than anyone playing the position. Any
It's my
arguments?
Yeah, I'm gonna let you go. No,
Okay.
I'm gonna let him go.
Okay.
I'm gonna let him go. Go ahead. He's been itching. He's been propped up for a minute now. Go ahead.
All right. For the same reason why the Golden State Warriors very well might win out and make it to the finals and lose to the Cleveland Cavaliers if they make it to the finals, but that's neither here nor there. Is the same reason why Steph Curry is not a better point guard than Chris Paul. Right? When you have the best team and everybody on that team 1 through 15 is better than everybody on the other roster 6 through 15, you have a great squad. You can throw more players at Chris Paul and get Chris Paul tired. Chris Paul has 17 attempts. You know how many of those attempts that Steph Curry actually contested or was in the vicinity of contesting? 4. All right, so Steph Curry's already fresher when it comes to keep up an intensity, keep up the pace, actually having to produce out there. It's a free-flowing offense that they run out there in Golden State. Over there in Clipperland, it's completely Chris Paul that has to produce on every aspect of the game. Not even LeBron over there in Cleveland has a higher usage than Chris Paul and Russell Westbrook right now. The amount of plays that this guy has to set up consistently night in and night out. So when I say all of it is to say this, Russell Westbrook's not the best point guard in the league, and for a while I was fooled by that as well. But when you're taking 35 shots a night, the defense is going to adjust to you and you'll be able to find 10 assists somewhere. Right? And if you're given the energy that Russell Westbrook is given every night when it comes to crashing the board, you might get 10 rebounds every other night. But when it comes to actually having to distribute the ball, finding your teammates through seams, 100% Chris Paul. When it's the All-Star game, who do the All-Stars want running their show besides James Harden now? It's Chris Paul. When it's the U.S. Olympic, who do the U.S. Olympics want running the point guard position besides James Harden now? It's Chris Paul. So in that sense, Chris Paul is the best point guard in the league.
All great points.
Yeah, all great points. My turn now. Let me get into this. I don't know why you're bringing up James Harden, but cool.
And we talking about point guards?
Simple question. If we switch Steph and Chris, like, do the Clippers make a downfall for it, or do they play better? What do you think?
I think the Clippers slightly get better, just because of how good of how credible of a scoring threat Steph actually is. And that's probably the only thing that separates him to Chris in my eyes, is that lethal scoring ability. Because if we're talking about passing ability, yes, Chris Paul has him, but is it really by that much? Because Steph Curry is a great passer, is an incredible passer, has great vision.
I asked that just to see, and vice versa. I want to ask the same question. Do you think Golden State would be better or worse?
They'd be as good. I don't want to go ahead and say they're better because Steph Curry.
You think they would they would be as good?
Absolutely killing it. Steph Curry in that system is absolutely killing it.
Right, but you think Chris Paul
would be as good?
As good. Okay. You think that?
I think it would be as good or better.
With Chris Paul on Golden State?
Chris
they're
Paul
really predicated around defense, man. As much as they're doing that wild stuff on offense, they had that free-flowing offense. It's always when they lock in on defense,
right,
and then it spurts their offense to go on those incredible runs. But there are times in games where Golden State is just completely off. What keeps them in the games is their defense until they finally hit a streak.
Okay, I understand that. Now, I think Steph Curry on Clippers would definitely make them better. They would be a more running gun team, I think. They would get more flowing options. Just as good, or better, but it would be within the same realm. I don't think you would expect them to make a downfall at all. On Golden State, though people thinking, oh, they have such a great team with such pieces, Chris Paul would get them a point, they're forgetting the biggest aspect that Steph Curry brings to that team is scoring. Chris Paul is not a scorer. He doesn't really want to score. He wants to be a facilitator.
But he can
So if
be.
you have Chris Paul facilitating, who's your number one guy on Golden State?
It would have to be Klay Thompson.
And do you really think he would be the number one guy? Can you trust him to be the number one guy?
It would be. It would be.
Do you think that Klay Thompson is ready to be the number one
It'd
guy?
be Chris Paul.
Stop.
It'd
be Chris Paul.
But it would
Okay.
be the same dynamic and the same issue that we're seeing here.
And Clippers.
Exactly.
But it's not that issue in Golden State.
Well, who's the number one guy on the Clippers?
It's not that issue in Golden State because Steph Curry is such a scorer. The point is that I'm trying to make, if you switch those two players, Steph Curry has the most likely chance to succeed in both situations.
I'm not going to
No,
disrespect
because
Chris
he
Paul.
still has the same terrible bench.
If Steph Curry goes to the Clippers, you don't think they could be better?
No.
You don't think
the
they could be
bench
better?
sucks. The bench sucks.
Listen,
I think
here's
it would
the
be a
thing.
better team,
The Clippers
if
roster.
the Clippers had a better bench, they would be amazing.
Listen,
Amazing.
The thing I like about this argument is that this is as good as it gets. Steph Curry is as good as it gets, and Chris Paul is as good as it gets. We're not going to disrespect either guy that he's going to make either team worse, because I can't possibly think
And that's
of
why I
any
said
way
what I
that
said.
Chris Paul goes to a different team and they fall off. They're only going to go up.
Except the
No
best team in the NBA.
Even them, because he's
How?
he's
But you
that
gotta think
good of a leader.
I
basketball.
can't say he's gonna go up. That's why I
You
said
gotta
I don't
think
know.
basketball though. Just putting Chris Paul on Golden State, seeing the players that he would have around him to facilitate to, no one of those guys could you depend on to be the number one guy. Chris
do you mean
Paul
by
would
the number
need
one guy?
the number one guy to score.
So when the clock is winding down on the LA Clippers on any given night, who's the number one guy?
You don't know.
Of course you do. It's Chris Paul every single time.
No, you truly don't know. That is
Who's the number one guy?
That is
Who's JJ Redick?
That is
No,
the
it
problem.
could be Blake Griffin.
Blake Griffin
That
is
the
the number
problem.
one
And
guy.
I feel like me and him just the complete
Yeah,
180
like
just not to me.
really, I was just being a devil's advocate because I don't know who my answer is.
Oh,
But
God.
those who are point guard traditionalists, yeah, I mean them guys, they're gonna say Chris Paul, of course. Why? Because he does what a point guard would traditionally do.
But if I'm on
let's
a
keep it
basketball
real though.
Which is
If you want to
exactly
go
what I
at the best player that's playing the
position?
point guard position, it would be a toss-up between Russell Westbrook, because I do get what you're saying with his numbers being inflated because of the way that he plays. I get that, and that's true. So it would be a toss-up between Russell and Stephen Curry right now as the best player playing the point guard position.
And I say right now it's a toss-up
And I
between Chris
disagree.
Paul. And I say right now it's a toss-up between Chris Paul and Steph Curry. Steph taking the slight nod.
All right, so we're gonna pose this question: who's the best point guard in the league? I think it is none other than the same guy that it's been for the last 9 years, Chris Paul. Ronnie is going with, I don't even know who you're going with.
Ronnie
my
doesn't
guy.
even know who he's going with.
But he threw in Russell Westbrook, and then Domer, obviously, he's going with the bandwagons over there in Golden State.
I'll take it. You call me whatever you want. We're winners over here.
Okay.
Listen, my position as this top point guard, which may need to be discussed in the future, is that you can't win with your point guard being your best player.
Now, since we're touching on who's the best point guards in the league, right? What about those guards, not just point guards, but what about those guards in the league that are not getting all the attention?
Who can we shed some light on for the listeners?
Yeah.
That just really deserves it because they do their thing on a nightly basis.
Ronnie.
And if they're not an all-star, who can we let them know about?
A couple of these guys may be all-stars, but basically there's a lot of other point guards out there that are manning
Not just
championship
point
contender
guards, but
teams.
Guards as well.
Yeah,
in
guards.
general.
100% of guard driven league.
So we got like what? Jeff Teague. Atlanta's been dominating this season. Mike Conley. He's been there, for a while now. Memphis always playing ball. He's manning that squad.
And Conley's one of the better defenders at his position for
Right.
sure, leading one of the best defenses in the league. My man E. Bledsoe, down there in Phoenix, playing great basketball. Doesn't really get too much airplay through the highlights and through, you know, just the headlines in general. But
Mini LeBron.
the mini LeBron, as people like to call him, he's kind of a Swiss Army knife. He passes, he rebounds, he defends, he scores. He's just an absolute locomotive in the fast break. He's a beast athletically. I mean, I just love the man's game. You got, you know, another guy in Dallas, the best guard in Dallas. The best. I'll repeat that. The best guard in Dallas right now, from my man Ronnie, is Monte Ellis. He doesn't get much love. He should. I can't believe he's still not an all-star. It's crazy. He's the best player on one of the better teams in the league.
Remember, I've been saying something about Monte Ellis for years that people are just starting to catch on to, or actually people have been getting fooled about in recent years with his winning in Dallas. Now, I don't think you can ever realistically win with Monte Ellis being your best player in the league. At the most, I feel as though he is a sixth man, like
that's a little disrespectful.
Disguising as a starter out there. Okay, if that's a little disrespectful, why are they seventh in the league? It's not because of the person that I'm choosing to shed some light on, the person that has been getting all the gripes, the blames, the criticism since they made a blockbuster trade for. Yes, Rajon Rondo is the guy that I need to be focusing on here because he does so much more than just chuck up shots at the hoop.
Ronnie, who's the best guard in Dallas?
All right, listen. They play two different roles.
Who's the best guard in Dallas?
Needed. Rajon Rondo is not better than Monte Ellis.
Who's a better basketball
player? They play two different roles.
I'm saying, who do you want on your team tomorrow?
Rondo. But as far as for the Dallas Mavericks, Monte Ellis, his contributions, I mean, we can't just gloss over that. He has been their best player, and they have done pretty well. But what I'm saying, though, is Rondo is definitely a great point guard, though. A good point guard. His defense, who was guarding James Harden down the stretch when they faced Houston the other night? Who was guarding James Harden?
Good question.
How much did Harden have that game?
Wait, but
I didn't ask you about the whole game. I said down the stretch.
Okay, so Rick Carlisle had Rondo guard James Harden. I just have no idea what that brings to the table.
My point is to say that they're both valuable in their contributions.
Okay.
Rondo is not going to give you the points that Monte Ellis could give you. But Monte Ellis is not going to give you the point guard play and defense that Rondo gives you. You need both of them.
You're talking about the same guy who led a 7-game series against the defending champs, the only 7-game series of that whole season for the best team in the league last year. And I can't recall any series where Rondo was the best player on the team and they won.
Again, it was Derrick Rose versus Rondo. Celtics won.
Yeah.
Rondo was their best player. I just answered your question.
To be completely honest, he's an average point guard in this league. Here's my thing about Rondo. I never said that Rondo was bad at anything. I just said that the elite play that he was playing at, the elite level he was playing at prior to coming to Dallas and prior to his ACL injury, just won't be reached. And
Bro, you
and
called
hasn't.
him average.
Show me when Rondo has shut down a point guard this year. I have not seen it once, and I literally have been waiting for him to play well on defense.
Show me any point guard that shut down a point guard this year.
Listen, nope. Slow down is really what shut down it. Chris Paul slowed down Damian Lillard. It happens. And Rondo used to do it nightly. He's just not anymore since he's come to Dallas. And you can't honestly say that Rondo's playing well since he's come to Dallas. And you've been blaming it on Rick Carlisle, and I've been blaming it on Rondo.
If you have a chance to get Rondo, you get Rondo.
When you watch the
Dallas
Mavericks,
got Rondo.
Yeah.
Now use him.
The firing round is something that we've been bringing in slowly. Started out last week, right? Yeah, last pod.
Last pod with Jeff.
It's a series of questions. We have 24 seconds on the shot clock. First question, Ronnie, who's the second best player in the league? It's been something that's been out there for the last couple years is Kevin Durant, but he's not playing anymore, man. Who's the second best?
Stephen Curry.
I like that. I like that a lot.
I'm going to go with his guy, James Harden of the Houston Rockets.
Who is the best on-ball perimeter defender in the league? Let's jump it off around again.
You gotta go with Kawhi Leonard, and I would not want him playing defense on me. When LeBron's reaction to seeing Kawhi Leonard enter the game, when his face went down and he was disappointed, that tells you everything that you need to know.
His hands look like mitts.
Yeah.
His hands are on every single ball, on every single possession, and if they're not, he's just there in general, wreaking some sort of havoc. So I got a background on this one and go with my man Kawhi, NBA MVP,
I'm
Finals
always
MVP.
by myself, man. What's going on this?
Finals MVP, baby.
I'm by myself. I'm going with Tony Allen. The things that I saw him do to one Kevin Durant, who is the second best player in the league next season.
Giving up 6 inches.
Things that I saw him do to that man and Russell Westbrook in a series, man, that's unrivaled, man. I'm going with Tony Allen.
Another formidable pick.
Yeah.
Over
it's
there in
nice.
Memphis.
Third question. Is James Harden the best one-on-one player in the league?
No. I can't say best. One-on-one player, Kyrie.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna strongly disagree with my man and give it to the beard in Houston.
Fear the Beard. Yeah, I'm over there as well. For my time, I
How?
actually want to make a pitch for somebody else, though, outside of Fear the Beard. If this guy was in the league today, he'd be the best. Kobe Bryant. See you next year.
See, y'all be getting me with that.
Shut
I
up.
be putting Kobe off limits. He's not
He
in
did
these
say
discussions
right now.
at all.
He did say right now, and I did say Fear the Beard, but
With or without Kobe? With or without Kobe?
I'm shouting out my
I'm
guy
giving
in
it to
LA.
James. I'm giving it to James.
How is it
I'm
James
down
though?
with
Like,
that.
how is it
The
James?
handle, the driving
cool.
ability, the shooting ability.
Cool.
Last question, boys.
Take away the free throw line. What he got?
Last question, boys. Who, in your opinion, has the prettiest / best looking jumper in the league? Jonah, why don't you jump us off first?
Man, the free agent count?
You got 20 seconds, boss.
Nah.
You got 20 seconds.
You know I'm going with my guy Ray Allen, but I have to go to Splash Brother Klay Thompson. Steph's shot is absolutely fantastic, but I'm a fundamental guy myself, so I'm going Klay. He has a more fundamental jumper, something that I like to watch a little bit more.
I think Bradley Beal got a nice
He
looking
does.
jump shot,
He does,
but you can't argue with Klay Thompson's jump shot at all.
except for the 3-point contest this year.
That's true.
Oh yeah, the
I
last round.
love the Bradley Beal shout out. He has an incredible looking jumper. But let's be real here. Klay's jumper looks like it's a sketch.
With that being said, guys, thanks for sticking with the fraternity, RSVP Sport.
What we say today
Matters tomorrow.